Hi, it's so great to be with each of you, and we're getting to talk about the new Glickman Hillel Center that's going to be built for us at UCSD. And so I want to welcome each of you. And if you guys just wanted to introduce yourselves and kind of share your major, what college you're in. Lucy, I'll start with you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm a Jewish Studies major, minoring in Human Rights and Migration. I'm at Eleanor Roosevelt College and I'm entering my third year. And really, Hillel has been my home base. I've been as involved as I possibly can be in Hillel. I'm on the Shabbat committee. I'm part of the first year students at Hillel committee. I'm currently going to be serving on as student representative for UCSD Hillel on the Hillel of San Diego board. And really, I'm just overjoyed of the idea of having a whole center, even if I won't get to experience it in my college career, that future students at UCSD will have that Glickman Hillel Center is so exciting. So I'm so happy to be part of that planning process, and I'm excited to see it happen in the future.
Thank you. Lisa?
Hi, so my name is Lisa. I'm a fourth year. That sounds weird to say, but it is summer. Fourth year public health major, political science minor from TMC, so Thurgood Marshall College. Sorry if there's sound in the background. But yeah, I have been involved in Hillel since my freshman year. And the thing that super brought me in more so during my sophomore year was JLF, or the Jewish Learning Fellowship. And I met a lot of my Hillel friends through that and just regained my connection to my Jewish community that I'd had so much growing up. And I think Hillel has been a huge part in letting me figure out the kinds of connections to my Jewish community that I want to have going forward in my life that aren't so connected to my home community. And I'm just really excited to have a bigger, better space for that to take place. Especially I loved coordinating for Shabbat dinners and things like that when we could have them pre-COVID. And the idea of having a bigger, better space that can more accommodate that and accommodate more students is just really, really exciting for me.
Guy?
Yeah, my name is Guy. Is the audio okay, by the way, because I'm on my phone? It's good. Yeah, so I'm coming into my fourth year computer engineering major and philosophy minor from Thurgood Marshall College. And I know we're going to be asked more questions, so I'll try to be brief. Hilo is the only reason I've met anyone during this past year because of COVID. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And so, you guys have, Lisa and Lucy, you've been able to experience the Potiker Center, Potiker House. But what would a big comprehensive space mean for what we're able to do?
I think for me, one of the easiest things to think of pre-COVID, one of the things that I worked on was hosting a Purim event. And for that, we baked 100 Hamantaschen, I think, somewhere around there. It was very hectic and very difficult. But the current Hillel House kitchen is not really supportive of doing that kind of work or anything bigger. And I know for me, a big part of my connection to Judaism is through food. And so having a better space to be able to teach classes about Jewish cooking from around the world and share that with people would just make my connection to Hillel and my connection to Judaism so much stronger and enable me to share that with other people.
I love that. Lucy?
Sure. So I've been very lucky to be able to experience the big building at SDSU. So when I think about the Glickman Center, I really think about what a magical space the SDSU Center has been for the SDSU students. And really having that space where you can refer to the Hillel building and everyone knows what you're talking about, I think will be very important at UCSD. When I try to explain Hillel to people and I'm like, oh, it's that house on the corner, over here, it's kind of hard for people to kind of understand and be more open to coming because they're like, oh, it's a small space, I don't know. So I'm very excited for the possibility of having such a big space to, like Lisa said, host more people, be able to put on bigger events that can have the capacity to be able to cook and have a kitchen and things like that. So very excited for this future.
Amazing.
I think to add on to that, looking back on my experience as a freshman, I think if Hillel was like just physically more visible to me, would have pulled me in earlier and really gotten me more involved, because I definitely was like intimidated by the fact that I couldn't find it or was like too far. It's really close to campus, but it like felt so far when I was living on campus and everything was huge. And so just having that like real marked physical space, I think would be so helpful for incoming freshmen.
I love that. Guy, if what if you had to dream big about the Glickman Hillel Center, what would you be dreaming of?
Yeah, so I haven't been at like a physical Hillel center, but I've been at like Jewish community centers in the US, specifically the one in Palo Alto where I lived. So I think it's very necessary to host like community events and stuff like that. And if you want to have like speakers or musicians or any large activity like that, it's useful to have a big space. It also has, some air of like more like legitimacy or whatever. And then for me personally, like next year I'm planning to open a Jewish philosophy club. So like just different clubs like that. I think a space might offer opportunity. So you could say, hey, we're gonna meet at this time at the Jewish place. So yeah, just space for people to hang out and host clubs, stuff like that.
That's great. That's great. And in the last couple months, anti-Semitism has quadrupled. And I know at UCSD, there's a lot going on. What is it like to be a Jewish student at UCSD right now? And how is Hillel a place for you?
I'd say it definitely feels isolating to be a Jewish student at UCSD, especially right now. And for me as a Jewish studies student, when I introduce myself, I'm like, hi, I'm Lucy, I'm a Jewish studies student. So often that gets me some weird looks. So I feel that Hillel is the one place where I don't get those weird looks when I introduce myself as, hi, I'm Lucy, I'm a Jewish studies student. People know what I'm talking about. And I feel safe because everyone has similar backgrounds to me and they're all interested in being Jewish or learning about Judaism, and especially having the staff there as support during like hard times. They're always there to speak to the administration of the university, and we always feel like we have people to come back to and to be always one step ahead.
Yeah, I really feel like being a Jewish student on campus, I know that Hillel has my back in a way that I'm not always so sure the rest of UCSD does. I'm a mixed student as well, so I also have an Asian American background, and I know with like the rise of anti-Asian hate crimes this year, UCSD was very responsive and putting out lots of materials and creating support groups and really being there for their Asian American students, which I totally applaud and I'm very grateful for. And I didn't see the same thing with the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States. And that was really difficult. I was like, I'm used to the university being able to muster support for their various student communities, and not seeing that this year was just kind of heartbreaking and made me feel like, oh, one part of my identity is valued here and the other part isn't. But like Lucy said, Hillel staff and the friends that I have through Hillel definitely were able to like give me that support and make me feel like I do belong at UCSD and that we're like going to be okay.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it is very important to have a place where people can kind of like own being Jewish, right? Like Lucy said, I don't think personally I haven't experienced any like blatant anti-Semitism, but especially after the events during this year and stuff like that, it can be like a little bit awkward to say, hey, I'm Jewish, and then people are like, oh, no. So I think it's good to just have a place where you don't need to go through that, right? And also you have like-minded people with similar experiences that you don't need to explain all these things to. Now, while advocacy is important, sometimes you just want that place where you can chill, right?
Totally. I love that. Okay, and last question. I did promise you it would be brief. How, if you were to describe Hillel to somebody who had no frame of reference of what we are, how would you describe Hillel?
I think for me, Hillel has just really been my space to find Jewish community on campus. UCSD doesn't have a huge Jewish population, but you can know if I go to Hillel, I'm going to find people like me, and also a place for me to learn and expand my ideas surrounding Judaism and learn from other people's experience of Judaism and really find what it is that I want in my Jewish life going forward. And I think that it's really just been a place for me to learn and grow and to find the community that I've been really looking for.
Totally agree. And to add on to that, I usually describe Hillel as this welcoming, open, pluralistic space for Jewish and non-Jewish students to really learn more about Jewish culture and the religion and participate in fun events, to have a nice Shabbat meal every once in a while. So really it is the home base for a lot of Jewish students on campus.
And
Yeah,
Guy?
I think Hillel is basically a nucleus of Jewish activity and Jewish community on campus. If there was any Jewish student came to campus and he asked me what should I do, I would say go to Hillel. I know a lot of times, sometimes people are like, well, that sounds Judaism, that sounds religious. But I'm like, well, I mean, look, there's all type of stuff there. I grew up secular in Israel, secular Jew, and I found my place fine in Hillel. So I would say it's just a community. As I've said, literally every person I've known this year and I'm friends with is from Hillel. So yeah.
I love that so much. You guys are making me cry. Truly, the fact that that Hillel is that space for you is everything that we want it to be. And I am just so in awe of each of you and your own leadership. And Hillel is better because of the three of you. And so I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for being here today and for kind of sharing your stories. And I cannot wait for the Glickman Hillel Center to happen so that we can cook and have events and have your philosophy club and be able to invite more students than we ever could before. So thank you so much for your time today and have a wonderful Shabbat. And I'll hopefully see you soon.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.